Welcome to the Dub Show. I appreciate you guys, man. Check me out.
I caught an L at a young age, stretched out. Getting 24, homie, I got 5 out. Now on YouTube, trying to get a paper route. Coming till you know the deal, we on some grown shit. What's cracking, everybody? New video. So today, we are going to talk about, let's do it this way. I've done a bunch of videos about the California Youth Authority. And when I do videos about the California Youth Authority, I always bring up one thing every time. That one thing is that it is my opinion, it is my personal belief that the California Youth Authority was one of the worst experiments that California ever did, okay? Today's video, you guys see the thumbnail and you guys see the title. Today, we're gonna talk about the worst experiment that California has ever done on the adults within the correctional system. See, YA was and will be the worst experiment that was ever done on juveniles in the corrections institutions in California. But Corcoran SHU is by far one of the worst experiments ever conducted. The majority of my SHU terms were in Pelican Bay. Well, every single one of my SHU terms. I went to the SHU 4 times, and every time I was in Pelican Bay. However, I did, I got transferred from Pelican Bay to Tehachapi. And in Tehachapi, I wound up stabbing somebody in R&R. And so I caught my SHU term, went back. I caught a thing in the ADSEG, and then I caught the stabbing in R&R. And so I was headed back to Pelican Bay, right? And at the time, this is when Pelican Bay, this is when the CDC was changing things. They were gonna make the SHU into Tehachapi, and also if you had already been to Pelican Bay SHU, Corcoran didn't want you. They were trying to make Corcoran more of like a lower level SHU. So because I had already been to Pelican Bay SHU, they said, no, you're going back. However, I laid over for almost 4 months in Corcoran SHU. And so I got to experience a little bit of it. But because it was 1998 when I went through, it was no longer the Gladiator fights. But let's go ahead and check out this thing that I put together, and then I'll be on the backside of that. Enjoy it. There it is, Corcoran State Prison. You notice how beautiful it is? Most of the prisons in California are in beautiful places, and yet the beauty that surrounds it can't mask the horrors that happen inside of there. This right here is a famous scene. It's part of a video where a black inmate was murdered by a CO. Those of you that don't know, Corcoran State Prison, within the SHU, they had what they called gladiator fights, the old gladiator days. During the gladiator fights, the gladiator days, convicts were pitted against each other. The best fighters from Southern California, the best fighters from Northern California, best Crips, best Bloods, etc. The COs from different buildings would gamble against each other. I got a guy over here that you guys can't beat. Is that right? Bring them. They would move people. They would bet on the fights. It was human rooster fights. And then the guards, obviously very sadistic in the fact that they were gambling against each other using human beings or things that they didn't even consider human beings in order to satisfy their bloodlust and get a little bit of money. They would set them out there, pit them against each other, and then in the end, they'd get off on them, shooting them, a lot of times killing them. For years, those rooster fights or gladiator fights were investigated. The CDC in Corcoran SHU was investigated by the feds. Officers rolled over on each other. The case was presented, and look at this. Look at what you see on the screen. Not only that, but 8 officers were tried and found not guilty. They were able to kill basically at will for money. How does that make them better than those that they're incarcerating, or those that they're shooting at, or those that they're betting at? Due to all the publicity of the trial and the fights and stuff, there was a lot of protesting. There were a lot of people saying that Corcoran SHU needed to be shut down, the Gladiators fights, and all that stuff needed to come to an end. And it did. And this was the result. Grown men being placed in dog kennels. Sergeant walking by, check him out. Not a care in the world. He doesn't recognize the animals. At least that's how they're treating them, right? These are men that are going to be placed back in the community. Right out of the dog kennels into your backyard. So, seeing that, I know there's a large amount of people out here in the world that they tend to say, if you want to pay, if you want to play, you got to pay. And that is a very dangerous and reckless mind state. Here's why. First, I say to those that are of that, you play, you pay mindset, be careful what you wish for. See, there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, prison changed you, Dubs. But we need to be clear on something. I'm a former lifer. They have a term in the CDC called long-term offenders / lifers. Our recidivism rate is less than 1% because the majority of us served 2 decades or more. We do come out as productive members of society. Like I said, our recidivism rate is less than 1%. The problem is, for those that you pay, you play theory, is the vast majority of convicts released do less than 10 years. So when if you can't figure out that prison being punishment rather than rehabilitation is a problem for you, then we're going to continue on the same cycle, doing the same thing, having victims. See, men that go to prison and get out within 10 years, if they do not have programs to make them better, you know what they become? They go to prison and become better criminals. They went into prison, maybe they were 23, 24, 25 years old. They get out, they're closer to 35, or maybe even older. They are not those that employers are looking to hire first because of their age and because of their record. So what do? They apply that enhanced criminality that they learned from prison. I'm just trying to get people to think, get people to understand that Corcoran was a terrible, terrible experiment. And if you think the CDC is done experimenting, they're not. It's our responsibility out here in the community to keep an eye on, one, how much money is being spent on incarceration, and two, how that money is being spent. We gotta stop allowing these people to warehouse people. We gotta start keeping their feet in the fire, keeping their feet in the flame to rehabilitate people and try to stop the cycle. That's just my point of view, my 2 cents. Hopefully you liked the video. Please stay safe, stay smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.